Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Training Industry Leader Talk, Creating Memorable Training Experiences, sponsored by Adobe, CommLab India, ELB Learning, Skooks, and Whatfix. So I'm Liz Faith, the Events Marketing Specialist here at Training Industry, and I'm thrilled to have you with us here today. Before we get started, though, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speaker and get the most out of today's program. So throughout today's event, please feel free to use that chat window to interact with our speaker for any comments and as well as for questions. So please plug those questions in the chat. That will help our speaker address those questions, which we will be addressing those at the end of this session. So plug those questions away. And at the end of your time here with us, you will notice a short evaluation survey has popped open in another tab in your browser, and we would appreciate your thoughts on today's event. And all of your sessions are being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email from us with a link to the on-demand sessions. If this is your first training industry event, we would love to welcome you. We exist to make connections among learning and development professionals. We offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D, like live events like today's Leader Talk, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcast. We would also love to hear about what you learned from today's session on social media, so please follow us on your favorite platform so we can continue that conversation. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our third speaker of today. Pushpa is an accomplished learning strategist who designs and develops tailored learning solutions that meet diverse stakeholders and learners' needs, driving engagement and performance improvement. She manages projects from development to deployment, ensuring effective communication, stakeholder buy-in, and timely delivery. And with that, Pushpa, take it away.
Thank you, Liz. All right, I'm gonna quickly share my presentation to let me know when you can see it.
Looks beautiful.
Perfect. So thank you, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's session, which is Make It Stick, the Science of Unforgettable Learning. I think as learning professionals, we've all faced this challenge of, we spend time creating beautiful courses, training programs, but then after a few weeks, we just realize that our, learners are like the training never happened. They just don't remember what they went through, and there's no shift in the business results. Now, the big question that we all come across and we do hear from our customers is also that how do we design a learning that is actually staying with people? That what are those practical strategies and formats that you can use which help learning stick with our audience. They remember it for a long time and are able to apply that in their job roles. So this is what we all are facing in our day-to-day lives as learning professionals, right? So before we dive into that, a quick note about CommLab India. So we help create custom learning courses, and our unique USPs are about developing them at a great scale and speed, massive value, and also thought leadership and customer education. So here is what we will be covering today. So we will start off with your favorite learning experiences. So this is going to be a bit of an interactive session. I would love to hear the moments, that really stayed with you when you probably were learning something, and what were those elements of it that made it stick to you. From there, we'll unpack the core elements of memorable learning, and then we'll get into the strategies and formats that can make learning sticky. But then it's not design alone, right? So we also have to reinforce. So we'll touch base a little on the role of reinforcement and performance aid. From there, we'll move on to how, as instructional designers, we can leverage AI not only to save time and cost, but also now it is about creating smarter and more personalized learning with the help of AI. And finally, we'll look at some of those best practices. All right. Now, why sticky learning? So, this is the question that we started off with, right? So, we all know that information is everywhere. We are not short of information, but what we are all short of is the retention. Learners tend to forget, and this is the fact, learners tend to forget 70% of what they learn or the new information that they gain in just 24 hours. And this is overwhelming when you look at it, right? So it's like, okay, I've spent so much time on creating a learning, and then my learners forget 70% of that in just 24 hours. So if you're not making your learning stick, then that is not going to work with the audience. So what is that we can do to make the learning stick is the session about. All right. So here we come to this first interaction. Can you all, in the chat, share with me what your most memorable learning experience was and why? So that is where we'll draw a few cues about what made it stick to you. To give you an example, I think as a kid, if I have to share one of my most memorable learning experience, it's about the fractions. And I always said that fraction and me always have a friction, right? So it's like uh, I never understood fractions until one day I had my dad who, just took an apple, cut it into pieces, and then he explained me what fraction was. Cutting it into 8 pieces, and then he said, these are 8 pieces. So it's like 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. And that I still remember even after so many years. So, can you all share what your most memorable learning experience was and why?
Pushpa, we do have responses in the chat. Do you want me to call out them for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking at them. So,
Okay, fine.
yeah, Sushmita, you can call out.
Okay. Gracie says all training should drive business results either by improving skills, processes, or filling tool gaps. So whenever I leave with a few to-dos, are the trainings I remember. They engaged me enough to put the training in my day-to-day and gain a new way. Then
Right.
yeah, John says, sorry if I got the name wrong. Usually, I give managers discussion questions for team meetings after the training.
Mm-hmm.
Then Carrie says, self development or improvement in person, emotional breaking down of walls.
Mm-hmm.
Again, John says, when I laugh, I'm learn. Sorry, when I laugh, yeah, while I'm learning.
Right.
Then Daniel says, interactive elements with those you're sitting with rather than the lecture. Alexandria says,
Mm-hmm.
taking care of patients, emotional connection, and relevance.
Right.
Yeah. And we do have a lot more. Dana says college, it was in college, a course on counseling skills. So after learning, they had to role play. And Heather says learning turned into a song. Jessica says recently took AI Essentials on Coursera and it was great with the AI couch. It was conversational and not just checking off boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the other responses say hands on learning with interaction,
Right.
actively being involved. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, as we can all see that there are a lot of things that make learning stick, right? So, I think we did see some of them talking about motivation, some of us talking about cues, responses, the practical reinforcement. the rewards. So all of these is what really makes a learning stick. Like when we talk about drive and motivation, it is the reason. It could be curiosity, a goal, or even a challenge. If the learners are motivated, then they are more likely to stay engaged. Why should I do it? What's in it for me? Stimulus or cues, in terms of something that has to spark the interest, a scenario, a story, a question, or something of that sort. The response, so it's not just enough, when you let people watch something or read something or listen to something, but only when you give them that hands-on experience is what will make it stick and remember. So we were talking about when we do something hands-on, right? So that is very important in terms of response and reflect to make the learning stick. Of course, practice and reinforcement, giving them a chance to try, to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. And for sure, rewards. We all love rewards, no matter how small or big, but we all love rewards. So giving them those small wins also matters. Okay. So moving on, so the engagement principles, the foundational ideas, or these are the foundational ideas or strategies to capture and sustain a learner's attention. So we put it under relevance, autonomy, and feedback. So that is how we kind of can take it. Now, what each of those mean? So relevance is that the learners have to see a clear connection between what are they training on and how is it relevant to their job? How is it going to help them improve in their job? And what benefits is it going to get them in their job or in their career? So that is the relevance, because when we talk about uh, corporate training, we're talking about training adults, and adults are always like, what's in it for me? What am I going to gain out of this training? How is it going to help me or benefit me? So that is relevance. Then autonomy is where they feel motivated when they have a control over how, when, and what they can learn. So I do remember, when I was working with one of the projects with a customer, and we had a set of users who were actually the end users, and that is where we had a lot of them pose this question, as in, I have a job to do, right? And I am not available for a training whenever you want me to be, right? So I would love to have a training when I am free, I am available to do it, and on any device that I'm comfortable doing it with. So that is also important, and important element of making a learning stick. And of course, the feedback in terms of they would love to know how they are doing, what they are what they are doing, what is the improvement in their knowledge before versus after the training. So that is where we also try and include a lot of pre and post tests, just that we make sure they see their improvement and they are motivated to do the training. Pre-test, you're not scoring well, then you're motivated to do the training. And then the post-test, you score well and you see how the training did impact your knowledge. So that is a great thing that they would love to see. So these are the engagement principles. So this brings us to our first poll. Um, what is your biggest challenge when implementing strategies such as storytelling and gamification? So we are getting into our next topic, so would love to hear before we dive into that topic. We'll let everybody about say 45 seconds until you all are able to answer this, and then we see what everybody thinks.
Yes, we'll give everybody about 15 more seconds. The results are definitely really interesting. Not surprised by any means, but really interesting. And here are those results.
All right. So, okay, so I see the biggest challenge to be lack of time and resources. For sure, we're going to touch base on that. The second one is unsure how to design them effectively. Of course, we'll touch base on that too. And for sure, lack of examples or templates to get started with, no internal team to handle development, and difficult to align with learning objectives. These are, this is a very good poll result and definitely in line with what we're trying to cover today. Okay, so let us dive in to the strategies. So some strategies are like storytelling. So this is something that I do feel is, you know, very, very effective when you want to make your learning stick, because it uses narrative elements, it has characters, it has situations, conflicts, solutions, and it is very, very emotionally, you can make it emotionally engaging. So you can make it feel like as if it's happening with your learner. So you can put the learner in the shoes of the character, make it more relatable, and that is how it becomes very, very memorable. I would say, yeah, like you can see the different types of stories that you can use are war stories, top performers in action, how do you do it, or giving them situations as well in terms of, okay, so we have a colleague who's going through this situation. Now, what do you think she has to do and stuff like that, challenges that are faced, or rather a kind of a walkthrough, like, a day in the life of, say, a project manager, a day in the life of a manufacturing unit inspector, and stuff like that. And I do really feel that storytelling is very effective when it comes to compliance training, sales training, change management, leadership, and soft skills. Soft skills is my personal favorite when it comes to, storytelling, and of course, compliance training as well. So the second strategy I would say is gamification. Um, and to be clear here, gamification is, when we talk about gamification, it's not just about playing games, but it's about using the game mechanics and aesthetics to make the learning more motivating and meaningful. The natural desire of achievement, progress, and recognition is what it taps. Like some of those gamified elements that you can use are points for progressive or correct actions, releasing out the levels, like taking them level by level, using narratives, timers like urgency to showcase urgency or a challenge, badges, and stuff like that. And of course, recommended for onboarding, product and sales training, safety training, software training, etc. And then we do have simulations, because with a lot of our work now dependent on tools, processes, softwares, I think simulations, the Watch Try Do simulations provides learners a very safe environment, that mirrors the actual system to help them work out with the tools, the applications, try it out, do stuff in a safe environment, and recommended for all sorts of programs. Sushmita, can you just take it up for a minute?
Yeah, sure, Pushpa. So, as Pushpa was saying, software training, we do use simulations, watch right do simulations, and we also have visual walkthroughs and simulations for safety training, where we show their workplaces or maybe the hazards they're supposed to kind of, stay away from, what precautions to be taken. So, great visual walkthroughs, which are also becoming very easy and quick to create thanks to AI tools. So, simulations, both Watch Try Do and the other simulations, have a great role to play in making learning very immersive and sticky. So, yes, Pushpa, maybe we can move on to the next section.
Yeah,
And yeah,
thank you.
no problem.
Sorry, you will have to excuse me a bit because I'm going through a bit of cold and sore throat today, unfortunately. Of course, the next one is hands-on activities, having case studies, games, spotting the differences, activities, scenario-based quizzes, and gamified simulations. So this is all where we are engaging them in doing stuff rather than just going through some sort of knowledge. So there's an active engagement of the learners, and this is very very useful when you want to promote some kind of decision making with your learners, and I think it's very critical for long term retention type of programs. So case studies with polls where you can have interactive decision points, critical thinking, and personal judgment for learners to vote. Uh, Board games where the learners are moving up through levels or stages. I mean, it's bang on for onboarding, compliance, and soft skills. Spotting the differences is where you are encouraging observation and accuracy. And this is what I feel is very good when you're working with the my personal experience with a project is when you're working with people on doing inspections as to asking them what do you observe, can you identify where the mistake is and stuff like that, because now I'm rightly working on one where we're using this for inspecting insects in a flour mill. So scenario-based quizzes with multiple responses and parts. Learners are able to make choice, get feedback and stuff like that. And of course, gamified simulations like I talked about, the walkthroughs into time-based or consequence-driven activities. So for tools and process flows, this is the best I feel. All right. Then we get into the delivery format. So we've seen the strategies, what strategies can work, what can make the learning stick. But what are those formats or rather the outputs that you can use to deliver this kind of a training? So we start off with the video-based learning. So we all know video-based learning, and I'm sure we've all used it at some point of time in our trainings. It's a very very powerful way to engage learners, through a multi-sensory experience, bringing together the visuals, audio, the motion, storytelling, and stuff like that. And depending on the type of training that we are delivering, or what our goal is with the training, we have different types of videos that we can use, like explainer videos to break down concepts, how-to videos for step-by-step guidance or simulations, demos showcasing tools or products, simulations, interactive videos and stuff. And of course, the approaches we talked about are like animation, video graphic, live action, whiteboard videos, and things like that. So we do see people carrying some myth when it comes to videos. Sorry, like something think that video learning is passive learning. Something developing videos is too expensive and time taking. It is like an added extra. Video learning is an added extra we can manage without videos, or it's like just yet another resource, and there's no need for resources like this. But that is not true. I think videos are very, very engaging and dynamic. You have a plenty of options, and there is a lot of reusability for videos. So it's not like something that you are investing in a training and cannot be reused again, but you have a lot of options to reuse that. You can make it part of the big picture, and things like that. So we just wanted to burst these myths when it comes to, oh, video based, I don't think that is effective. No, but video based is really, really effective. The second one, of course, is micro learning. Again, my personal favorite is for sure micro learning, purely because of the way micro learnings are designed. It has a flexible approach, and you can use it in a variety of ways to enhance individual and organizational performance. So they're small and focused. They are the objective is to gain new knowledge, skills, and abilities, and they're all driving towards generating the results, the desired results. So that is what we talk about, or we when we say how do you design a micro learning. So this is what we say. We first start off with what your desired organizational goals are, and then these desired organizational goals are converted into desired performance from your learners. For example, to achieve X goal, what is that you want your employee to be able to do or perform? And from there, we start narrowing down to, what are your performance-based objectives, and then what the solution for that would be. The micro-learning solution for that would be. Sorry. Okay, then we move on to the micro-learning formats. It can take different formats like animations, GIFs, interactive resources, infographics, ebooks, so many, plenty other things that you can see here on the screen. So like I said, since they are small and focused, even as simple as a GIF can be treated as a micro-learning format. Even an infographic can be treated as a micro-learning format. So you don't really have to spend a lot of time and resources on developing these micro-learning formats. Infographics can be static, very good with visual representation of knowledge. And then you can also have interactive infographics, which I do really love, where you can actually have your learner interact with the infographics, because most of the time we do see people thinking that infographics is a one-way knowledge sharing. Absolutely not. You can have interactive infographics, that can be used to make it a two-way learning. People can explore, people can engage with the infographics and stuff like that. And the beauty again of micro learning is because they're short, they can be accessed on any device, like even a mobile phone, maybe you're using a video, an animation. So if people can access it on their mobile phone, maybe they just have to spend like a minute or so to gain that knowledge, so they can do it from anywhere and at any time. So they don't really have to dedicate a day or a time in their job to do this training. So even while they are commuting to office, they can actually access some of these learning formats. All right. So this brings us to the next one, which is the role of, like we were talking about reinforcement and performance aids. So we talked about some of these formats, but then the role of reinforcement and performance aids. Why really reinforcement matters? Because we think that learning is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing event, and without reinforcement, no matter how beautifully you have designed your training, no matter how cautious you were about integrating every aspect of what is important to make the training really effective, it is going to fade away without reinforcement. Now, why do I say this with so much confidence is the forgetting curve. Like we started off with the session talking about, learners tend to forget 70% of what they have learned in just 24 hours. So you can see how the forgetting curve is declining. It's going down. And that is where we really feel that a spaced repetition or reinforcement is really, really important to keep the learning level always on the top, to keep the knowledge that they have gained on the top, and make sure that they're not forgetting it and they are applying it in their jobs. And probably after applying it for some time in their job, then they don't need the reinforcement because that knowledge is already in their head and they just don't forget it after that. So this is how the micro-learning refreshers are used. Like I said, micro-learning, again, the beauty is it's not just for formal training, it is also for reinforcement, because you can start using your micro-learning pieces to reinforce that learning. So they've learned it first, they have 100% knowledge about it. As you see it is declining, you give them a refresher and you reinforce their learning, and then the knowledge again goes up, the retention goes up to 100. The minute they start declining again, you reinforce. The minute it starts declining again, you reinforce. So you can have as many number of reinforcements as required to keep the knowledge up so that they remember and they apply it. And now your reinforcements could also be as simple as probably you're just posting one question to your audience per day, maybe a very quick recap. Maybe you have a few critical topics that you can just send them across again, which they have learned in the first space. So maybe after a week you're sending a video on that again, just that they remember it, or some alerts in terms of, do you remember this, do you remember that, these kind of things. So these kind of reinforcement will really bring the knowledge up, make it stick, and then remain with them. So this brings us to our next poll, and it's kind of tricky, but I would like you all to think about that. You're in the middle of an onboarding, a new employee, and then forget what document is next, a prompt appears. So what is it? So what do you think? A job aid would be good, a moment of need resource would be good. Yep. So we'd love to hear from you on that.
We'll give everybody about 10 more seconds. And here are those results. Oh, you're on
Sorry.
mute.
Yeah. Okay, so we do see that 27% say it's the job aid that uh, would be helpful here, and 73% say that a moment of need resource. All right, so let's see. So the correct answer, of course, is the moment of need resource. I mean, both job aids and moment of need resources, they have different roles to play. They do serve in different context, but when you use them for sticking learning, I think the moment of need resource is what really helps here. So we'll look at it as we progress in the next few slides. So let's see the moment of need resources versus job aids. So the moment of need, I think as the name itself indicates, the moment of need resource is something that can be accessed in real time when the learner is doing or performing a job. They're stuck somewhere, they're not able to solve something, and they need some help. So that is the moment of need resource. So that is where it can really help, the real time. You can actually embed it within your system. Say, for example, you're working in SAP, you can actually have your moment of need resources linked within the SAP, where people can go and get access to that help within SAP as they are working on that task. Sometimes it's also dynamic and AI driven. So it's like probably a chatbot where they're quickly typing in something that they are facing a challenge with, and then they have the answer that comes up. So this is what we are currently working on with one of the customers, where they are actually leveraging AI for the moment of need resources. So some sort of a chat simulator where I have a question, I pose the question, and I have the AI driving me with responses of how to do that or how to perform the action. I don't even have to rely on some sort of a resources that has to be updated every now and then, or I don't have to rely on a real person there who is helping me solve the issue that I'm facing. So AI is playing a big role in this, I would say. Whereas in comparison, job aids are designed to support performance, and they're mostly for tasks that are predictable and repeatable. Like we know that most of the people would get stuck here, or we do know that most of the people would need this resource to be able to perform in their job. So sometimes these are also standalone tools, and in most of the cases, your job aids are often pre-built. They are often static or semi-static, but then they are pre-built and integrated or so stored somewhere, and then you have access that is given to your learners to be able to go through that. And I would also say that job aid sometimes does need a little more time to go through as compared to the moment of need resources. The moment of need resources are actually literally targeting only on one of the problems or challenges that the learner is facing right at that moment. So some examples of moment of need resources could be checklists or FAQs. Like I have an FAQ and I'm looking for an answer, some just-in-time video demos of, okay, you're performing this particular function maybe with a machinery, and how do you fix this if you're facing an issue with it? So those are the moment of need resources versus the job aids like process maps, infographics, flowcharts, reference guides, and stuff like that, which are, I would say, a little more elaborative, like we spoke. Okay, So the next is adaptive learning. So adaptive learning is like kind of weaving it all together. Uh, Please do let me know if you all can listen to the sound. Liz?
I know
Sounds
most
great.
of these still need to sit through
Okay.
the entire course. The course moves too slowly and I lost interest before it got to the sections I actually need. I wish the course focused more on my weak areas instead of things I've already mastered. I need more practice on certain topics, but the course doesn't offer enough scope.
Do you hear a lot of these from your learners? And does this sound like your managers?
I'm wasting resources on training programs that don't align with employee skill gaps. My learners are clearing the final mastery quiz but missing the mark when it comes to performance on the job. I have the same training for my new hires, experienced seniors, and everyone in between. We have plenty of training programs yet can't upskill fast enough.
If you've been hearing such statements, it's a clear sign. It's time for you to explore adaptive learning. What exactly is adaptive learning? It's a smarter way to train, offering custom learning experiences in real time designed for each learner's unique needs. It uses data such as assessment scores, learner preferences, and current level of understanding to create a tailored learning path. No more one-size-fits-all training. If you are looking for an adaptive learning solution, contact us now.
So I think the adaptive, yeah. So I think the adaptive learning is really blooming now in terms of initially it was like one size fits all. So we always weighed our learners on the same side of the balance in terms of treating everybody to be the same, from a knowledge perspective, from a time availability perspective, and so on. But adaptive learning is not that. So adaptive learning is really helping your learners decide the path that they want to take, or rather allowing the system decide the path that the learners can take based on how they are progressing with their learning. And you can do it at course level, curriculum level, and LMS level. So depending on how they are performing with one topic, they have the other topics being served to them.
Hey, Pushpa, I'm
Uh,
just jumping in. We
yeah.
do have about 2 minutes left, so I didn't know if you wanted to, let's skip to Q&A and answer one or two questions, or I know you have a good amount left, but I just wanted to give you a reminder.
Oh, yeah, sure. All right, so we'll quickly cover AI in learning, and then we can jump on, to the Q&A. So talking about AI in learning from a speed and substance perspective is a year ago, I think this is also with Liz, the survey that you guys did. A year ago, it was really focusing, when we talked about AI, it was focusing on saving time and cost and content creation. But now AI has grown to an extent where people use AI to focus on quality and engagement, right? So this is what we're doing. The way you use your prompts and all, AI can help you design, I would say, some of the most beautiful and sticky learning in times to come. So this is how we kind of leverage AI in learning for content creation, design, and development perspective as well. So we have AI being used even to an extent where if you're good with prompts, you can actually use AI to build games in 2 minutes for you. It just gives out an HTML code, save it in your text document, and then boom, you have your HTML game ready with AI. So that is to the level what you can use AI. And I'm telling this out of experience. It's not like, okay, this is what it will be doing, but I'm telling this out of experience as this is what it is actually doing. So we have AI prompts today that we use, which can help you develop games in like 2 minutes, and that is like super, super cool. I wouldn't say they are fancy, but yes, they are very, very effective and something that will stick on with your learners. All right, I know we do have a poll here in terms of, a typical training requirement and how much time it would take for you to develop a training like this and stuff like that. So if you would like to quickly spend maybe 15-20 seconds to what you think, it would take for you to develop something of this sort.
And then
If
unfortunately,
you,
after we do this poll, we will not have time for Q&A
yes,
as we are over time. But
okay.
while this poll is coming through and before you talk about the results, is there anything else you wanted to leave with the audience before we kind of say our goodbyes?
No, I think we're good. So I know it did take a little longer than what we had anticipated, but I would be happy to answer all of the questions that we've received from you, and then yeah, for sure we'll share the answers with you.
Fabulous. Yes. And those were the poll results.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. Well,
Yes,
yeah, thank
six
you
to
so
eight
much.
months, bang on, and the way it would cost you. But if you're just using AI, this is what it looks like. You can develop the same thing in 3 to 4 months, $45,000, 3 people, and then you have your programs ready up and running. All
Fabulous. That's a
right, so
perfect
over
note.
to you, Liz. Sorry.
No worries. No, that was such a perfect note and a great segue. And yes, all of the questions will be to the CommLab team to address. So stay tuned for those. But your inbox will be full after this. There were a lot of great questions. So for everyone else, though, we are going to be taking about a 13 to 12-minute break. And up next, we do have David and Melissa from Skooks for their session, Make Learning Unforgettable with Empathy First Training. It's going to be a good one. So just in a moment, I'm going to end this session and you can join our next session by returning to the event lobby and going to the session tab. I hope you stick around for our next session, which will be in the top of the hour. See you all soon.